Hello, everyone watching at home. You're with Adelaide Eternal. I'm Sarven McLinton. Your second co-host is Beckett Wolfe.
Hello, everyone.
We are doing coverage of Beckett's nice smooth run in the Bluebell Open in mid-May, I guess it will be. I'm not sure when these are going to go live. It's recent for us.
Yeah, it's very fresh. Just yesterday, we're hot off a good result. We're not going to spoil, but hot off a good result. And it's reinvigorated my passion for Highlander. And I'm really just happy to be back and making videos of Adelaide Eternal, representing Adelaide Eternal. It's been such a long time for me,
Yeah,
man. It's
we've
really
been pretty
nice.
quiet. We're all, I don't know. You hit your 40s and then you're like, I'm an adult now. Maybe I should get with the program. No, resurgence. Let's see how this one goes. So we are in round three. Let's take us off to the races. What's going on?
Yeah, so right now we're at one win, one loss. And this is not an ideal hand, but it's fine. I've got a 1 drop, a 2 drop, and a 3 drop. I mean, come on, if putting aside the fact that ideally we want a dork and maybe a bit of power in there, a 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop with 4 lands is a perfectly good hand, really.
Yeah, we're playing very, very fair Magic. And it's actually really advantageous that your opponent didn't lead on like turn one mana dork because he would have regretted Xander's Lounge, right? You would
Yeah, I thought about keeping up Bolt there for dork, but
mm,
I figured that the dork is okay. Like
mhm.
Bolt the Bird is I think best case scenario.
Stop. Look at look at this.
Oh no.
Amazing. So
It's so
the
good.
little cameras often hide the stack. Even though I move them, the audience might not see that. But it was you play fetch land, you crack fetch land, opponent goes Dark Ritual into opposition agent, and you go, well, I've got a lightning bolt and a red mana open. So you still manage to finish off in that 2-for-1 exchange. Pretty
Yeah,
nice.
it's pretty crushing because it is a 2-for-1, and also like Dark Ritual is powerful, and so they could have had a 4 drop here or something like that. Or who knows, maybe they were relying on that as a mana source to get going, and that's just ruined it. It might ruin their game plan.
Hmm.
Not just the 2-for-1, it can also ruin the game plan.
And that sequence is also quite unique because sometimes your Dark Ritual opposition agent, if it gets bolted, you get 2-for-1 as the oppo player. But if it resolves, you 1-for-1 them because your Dark Ritual nets the land that they don't get. But then you get up one because you get a land that you can
Yeah,
from
it's a
the.
big swing. It's a big
It's,
swing.
it's, it's going to be either dramatically one way or the other.
Yeah, this was a really interesting choice because I knew it was risky playing Grist with the Hex Drinker. I figured my opponent probably wouldn't be able to spot remove and level up Grist, level up Hex Drinker, but they were. But the Tarmogoyf at the time was only a 3/4. It's a 4/5 now. At the time was only a 3/4. So it felt a little bit like, well, I'm not really battling the Hex Drink and I don't think I'll be able to race it. And if my opponent spot removes and swings Grist, it's not the end of the world because they've wasted a spot removal on a dumb 1/1. And it helps me win the race because now they're not bashing me for 4. It's like gain 4 life and eat one of their spot removals, which would have been used on Goyf anyway.
Yeah, it definitely
So
see that play. You're kind of like, oh, oof, I just lost my grist, you know. But in reality, it's like Swords to Plowshares 8 grist. And
yeah,
then you now get to just curve out and play massive haymakers like Caves of Chaos Adventurer.
yeah, it really is. It's like Grist was a 5-power creature that got swords and I gained my 5 life.
Yeah.
That's
And
really what it was.
this is the advantage of removal versus proactive threats. You're on all proactive threats. Your opponent even has a 1 mana removal spell to remove your threat, but you just play another threat and play
Exactly
another
right.
threat.
And to elaborate that on that, what if my removal spell here was Swords to Plowshares and
Hmm.
Hexdrink is pro instant? It's that, well, it just might not line up.
Yeah. No wrong threats, only wrong answers.
Exactly. Snuff out is non-black, like there's always like
I love
certain
this.
ways, there's a lot of like these destroy target planeswalker or creature 3 or less. I don't
Hmm.
think Bitter Triumph's one of them, but yeah, like there's a lot of like caveats to removal.
I loved that exchange just there, on both sides. I think attacking with Hex Drinker there is absolutely correct because you're going to either take the initiative or you're going to trade with the Caves of Chaos. And you trading with Hex Drinker with your Caves of Chaos, absolutely correct. Like both of those, I think it would have been incorrect to hold back the Hex Drinker, and I also think
agree.
incorrect to not block the Hex Drinker.
It felt good for me to block, but I agree. You can't if you're in their shoes, you can't let me forge onto it.
Mm-hmm.
And now because I don't have a creature, forge isn't that good, and I don't have pressure, so trap isn't that good. So I
Yeah.
end up actually taking Lost Well here to scry 2, then make a treasure, and then the 4/1 menace is actually pretty good. And
This
so
is
I've got a
the
choice basically between Seasoned Dungeoneer and Undermountain. And I figure, well, Undermountain just makes mana, so
Yep.
I might need the mana. The mana might be relevant later.
This is actually kind of a rare scenario where you go down Lost Well and then into Stash. Like, 90% of the time, it's going to be the left-hand side of the dungeon.
Mm.
And yeah, this time there was just nothing to do with the Forge, even though often you want that pressure. And both people were at 20 life, so.
Yeah, sometimes you don't the forge whiffs, but you still want trap.
Mm.
But at 20 life, nah, it's not relevant. Also, you might note I could play Tarmogoyf there off the treasure token, but Archon says I can only play one spell a turn. It's not non-creature, it's one spell a turn, so I can't actually play Goyf there.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Archon in main decks, just in general. Your opponent's on Archon as well, it's it disrupts people so much more than it looks like it does on the surface.
Yeah, I really liked him on the play, and I
Mm.
basically cut him on the draw.
Yep, I think that's totally respectable. So here, initiative is bouncing back and forth, and your opponent now has the initiative. If they can follow this up with a big blocker on the ground, that's going to be pretty backbreaking for you.
Yeah, but I think best case scenario, they play something to chump with. I swing, they try to chump, do a bad chump to protect initiative, and then I trump them with the Seasoned Dungeoneer. It doesn't work out like that. That's okay.
Yeah, if there was a threat there, the fact that Seasoned Dungeoneer benefits warriors, makes warriors, unblockable, and Undermountain Adventurer is a warrior.
Yeah, I know,
It's
right?
just
There's a lot of there's a few. It's interesting to see.
why
There's
not?
a few little like protection relevant creature types in there.
Hmm.
You might think I want a Seasoned Dungeoneer to give him Undermountain Adventurer pro creatures, but I get further into the dungeon if I attack first.
And this is a really interesting scenario where both players are able to keep getting the initiative, bouncing back and forward with each other. However, your creatures have keyword initiative, so you're able to steal it as needed. And you were further in the dungeon, and also your opponent missed on playing a 4-drop last turn, and that's usually gonna dramatically favor you. And
Yes,
here I think
and
you're pretty locked.
exactly. Once I saw the tapping, I thought spot removal here isn't that bad. And then when I saw that it was Triumph, I thought, oh, okay, we're doing real good.
Yeah.
And it dawns on me that I've won the board so hard, it's
Mm.
almost irrelevant. Like Chaos Defiler, like I've already won. I only really am going to lose to a
You
sweeper,
lose to a
which
rat, so you don't need
which
to kill their Archon.
exactly, which I doubt that my opponent has rats anyway. Squee is like good because it can regenerate from the graveyard, but it
Bombardier
still
just
look
pressures them like crazy, though.
it does, but then like it dawns on me that it's largely irrelevant.
It doesn't. You've won anyway.
Yeah, it's
It's
like
not. They're already dead.
none of the things have ETBs like Chaos Defiler does, but it's not relevant.
So if it was Bombardiers, could you get lethal there? So Bombardiers
Well, it's
swing.
post main,
Um,
it's post
oh,
combat.
it's a post. Sorry, I was thinking to myself because
Yeah,
getting the initiative with the Seasoned Dungeoneer. Yeah, good point.
yeah, and I could cast now that the Archon's dead, but I don't need any more board presence, so I just I
Yes.
just passed the turn.
Yeah, that's fair. Look, your board is thick right now. Yeah. No surprises there. This is kind of the state of Highlander at the moment. Make sure that you're on the initiative or you can take the initiative. And yeah, that's the little sub game. And it's not really a sub game anymore. It's more of a main game in the format. So what's your sideboard plan here? You're looking at a little bit of kind of
Well, I'm assuming my opponent's on junk, which I'm therefore putting them on the Stoneforge package. So I'm considering Oof, Knight of Autumn. Winds of Abandon is my mid-range mirror sort of card. Like I said, I like to cut Icon on the draw, and Thalia I'm going to cut because they're obviously creature based. I've probably got more creature density, but not by enough that it's relevant. I decided not to go oof. I think value is still important. So Knight fits that role really well of like, yep, I can answer the important artifacts, but I'm still getting some 2-for-1 value. So I end up, yeah, going wins and Knight, which I'm happy about.
Yeah, this is a nice little sculpting where you're like, I take out the little bit of disruption stuff that's not so good on the draw, put in some little bit of disruption stuff that's a little bit better when you're behind. Yep, I think this is smooth, which just goes to show how good it is to have a main deck that's proactive. You don't need to go, oh, take out all the Duress Inquisition Thoughtseize. Instead, just run it back with a little bit of a tweak.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Like mid range, and I found this when I was playing Junk a lot. Like mid range is mid range, you know. You're doing your thing. You just gotta hope that you curve well and line up well, and take out two, maybe three of the worst cards, and add in like 2 slight increments.
This is not only do you have an amazing hand with some weird land sequencing, but anyway, amazing hand, but your opponent leads on Mana Crypt, Dark Ritual.
Poor opponent just can't get this Dark Ritual going.
Nah, mental misstep. Yeah, this is.
So and I don't know what could, I
been,
mean, it could be anything. It could
you know,
be that 5-drop initiative guy. It could be grief. It could be
the
who
fact that
knows.
it stopped them in their tracks and made the Mana Crypt kind of one turn slower, essentially. It's like the Mana Crypt isn't relevant till next turn. The mental misstep was a real lifesaver there.
It was
And
huge.
yeah, it's kind of like having a little force of will for the worst case scenarios for non-blue decks.
Yeah, it really is. It's a non-catch-all force of will that's pretty much force of will on turn 1, like almost force of will on turn 1, and it's still got game on turn 8. You know, they're still just as likely to draw a 1-drop as they are a 5-drop. Of course, the 1-drop's less relevant, but there's so many good 1-drops, mate. Like Hex Drinker on turn 8.
Absolutely. Let's
That's a
talk
great.
about your land sequencing here, because this is exactly the land that I would have fetched as well. I was thinking
Okay, yeah.
Tiger and then just hope for a black source. But if you don't get the black source, you get Fable. And because you drew the territorial Kavu, if you don't get the black source and your thing is removed, any green source or red source will get you Kavu as well. So I think it was the right one. And you ended up being moot because you drew Marsh Flats. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
that's
I think
what a relief.
I think Carver's better than Bowmasters, and I wouldn't be able to get I don't think I'd be able to play for Slimefoot and Squee without, like, the Plains doesn't play the Slimefoot and Squee anyway, so I need an additional land to play Slimefoot and Squee anyway. So the fact that Slimefoot and Squee requires black shouldn't encourage me to find black, because I need something other than a Plains regardless. So it's really the toss up is between Bowmasters and Kavu. Even though it looks like Slimefoot and Squeeze are relevant, it's not. It's
Yep.
Bowmasters Kavu.
And your play here of discarding Kavu is incredibly disciplined. Like a lot of people will be like, "Oh, this is so good," but in reality, it's kind of clunky the way your hand lines up. I also want to point out to the audience here that your opponent has played Mana Crypt, a 5-point card, and it's very much worth its 5 points on the play. You're on the draw, and you went Mana Dork into Fable of the Mirror Breaker, which makes treasure, and I believe you are strongly ahead and favored here.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously missed a land drop, but yeah, it's that. I mean, it's what we were talking about in the last video about using the swamp cycling to just build your mana base. You know, we all know broken mana does broken things and can steal games. We all know that, but there's still value in just, you know, building your mana base in a more consistent, jumping ahead, but consistent manner. And that's what I did there, and that was just a clinic. I definitely got pretty lucky with those switching off those scary dark rituals. I chatted with my opponent after this, and they said that they had a black initiative card to snowball there.
Yeah,
I was expecting grief, but
if they led on black initiative creature that first turn, and you went Mana Dork, and then they're already 2 stages into the dungeon, and then you have your goblin, you're still so far behind, like
Yeah.
really, really far behind. And also they've got the land that they would have missed. So
Absolutely. Yeah, they would have hit their basics. So you can, so their hand would have worked out. Yeah.
mental misstep helped a lot. Nice. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of round 3. So you are 2-1 now. And I guess we'll see everyone in round 4.
See you then.